Florida is already in a buyer's market, but many homeowners still don't haven't realized that yet. And because of that, I'm watching sellers make the biggest mistake that is costing them tens of thousands of dollars. We're talking 10, 20, 30, up to $50,000 that they're losing, just throwing it away. Now, especially when they try to sell their home, if they could sell their home. Now, some homes are sitting on the market for months while others are getting lowball offers. And if you're planning to sell, avoid these 10 mistakes that could be costing you thousands of dollars. Now, hello, my name is Luis Mendez. I am a local real estate agent here in Central Florida. I've been doing real estate for 12 years, and I've been starting to see these patterns happen over and over again. And I wanted to share with you as a seller homeowner to avoid these things. Whether you're looking to sell ASAP or sell 5 years down the road, these are some things you may want to consider. Number one is overpricing your home. This is the absolute number one reason why your house is sitting on the market for a long time and it won't sell, is going to be the price. That's a huge, I would say, in a pie chart, it's the biggest part of the pie. It's the main reason, is over 51% of the reason why the home hasn't sold. And let's say if a house your realtor does comps, or I do comps for you or anything, and it comes out at 325, 375, 450. I'm like, there's a reason I'm putting at that price. Now it's gonna really depend from there, what are buyers willing to pay. Now, the difference between a CMA and an appraiser. An appraiser is what the bank thinks the home is worth. CMA is what the current market thinks. Now, is what buyers are going for. And this is how a good realtor would know the difference. What are buyers willing to pay for this house? And you have to know the surrounding, you have to know the area. Now, you may have an area that this one house is built in the 70s, but you have a bunch of new houses built nearby. They may be a little bit smaller. They may be smaller square footage or maybe smaller size, but kind of the same feel. It's hard, an appraiser won't really use that new construction to that older house, but a buyer is not really looking so much at what the bank looks at. The buyer's looking at, would this fit for me? I like this area. My price budget is this price. These are the homes in this area. Oh, you know what? That one's brand new. I may go for the brand new one, even though the older one's a little bit bigger, but it's way more. It's a big difference. And or some people would, if let's say the house is listed at $450,000, I know some people are like, well, you know what? Let's list it at 475, 500. That way we can negotiate. Bad idea. Because what's going to happen is buyers who are in that pricing area, let's say their price point is 450, more than likely they're not going to look at homes in at the 475, 500 price point, because mentally like, oh, I know I can't do this. Yeah, the realtor may, show stuff a little bit higher so we can negotiate, but for sure the buyer, what most buyers do, they go on Zillow, they go on realtor.com, homes.com, they go on to the realtor's website, but they keep it at that budget that they're in. Your house is going to be overlooked at. And then when you're like, maybe I should drop the price. Hey, Mr. Realtor, let's drop the price down to 50,000 back to where you said. They look at it and say, oh, look, this was popped up. Man, it's been on the market for 200 days. Wonder what's going on. Hey, let's offer $425,000. Let's offer 400, $380,000. And you're like, you're so offended by that, but you're desperate because you're building a new house, and you're like, oh, man, I'd rather just, cut the cost and get rid of it. Or, you're thinking of some way, and either you have a choice to, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to keep it, live it, and just wait. Or you're going to count your costs and just go for it. I'm like, man, I guess that's how the market's going. And that's what some people are doing. Price the home right the first time. Because when a home is priced right, really good, and buyers are going to know, they look at the market, they see what's available, they look at the home sun up sundown while everyone else is watching Netflix and cartoons and watching the news. These people are looking at the neighborhoods, they're looking at houses all the time, and they see what's available. But if they see a good deal, they're going to jump on it, and they're going to come at it with less of a negotiating for their part. They want to make sure they get a good deal. They want to make sure they get your house. So they're going to go in, more than likely at a full asking price. Now, number two, ignoring the first impression. Man, I'm telling you, the curb appeal, it is it makes a big difference. Like if you're gonna sell your car, you're gonna wash your car, right? You're gonna wax it, you're gonna vacuum it, you're gonna make sure you do that. Why? Because you want top dollar for it. You don't want someone to lowball it. But when you go and you haven't cut the grass, there's no flowers, I mean, it's just dirty windows, it's stained walls, and you go inside and it's cluttered, it smells bad, everything is bad. The buyer is going to look at that and they're going to be so distracted by everything they cannot see your home. Kind of goes with the cluttered home as well. I remember having someone who wanted to buy a home, they want to buy a home here, but they had to sell their home in Miami. But she traveled the whole world, and each section of her house, she had like parts from Africa, parts from India, parts from like, from Spain, from Mexico, from this part of the world, from Japan and China. She had like every part of the world was in her house, and she would always talk about it. And I was like, "Oh, are you leaving all these things here with the house?" And she's like, "No, I'm taking them all." I'm like, "Well, then let's sell your house, not your stuff." Then it took a while for her to click. It's like, "Oh, you know what? That makes sense." So she put all her stuff, she put it away. She painted her home. She made the home look great. And within a week or two, her house was sold very fast. So it makes a big difference. The first impressions, what people see, they're going to leave with that mindset. If they can't see the house, if they go walk into your house and they don't see themselves living there, they're not gonna give you the best offer. If that was the only home in the area, they're like, well, you know what? It says it's $350,000, but man, I'm not going to move in. 310 is the max or 280 is the max. I mean, they have to make me move in. And some people will do that. Number three is poor listing photos. Man, if your realtor is not taking photos, not hiring a professional to take photos, it drives me insane. Is like I see people, they go and they go and take photos with their cell phone, and like you can see the realtors like half body in the bathroom, or the other family members dog is like moving and is blurred. I've seen so many crazy things. I'm like, it makes me wonder, have the sellers not seen what their realtor did? It's either very limited photos, or it'll have like 1,000 photos. And if you have 1,000 photos, you're going to skip that. You don't want like 10 photos of the bedrooms, 10 photos of the garage, 10 photos of the bath. You want, you want enough to bring people into the house, but you want to make sure those photos attract people and it tells a story, but it leaves you like, you know what, this is really nice. I want to go in. So make sure, if you have a realtor, make sure that you look at their stuff. You see what you go through it, look at it, and make sure the home looks nice. And again, prep the home for the photos. That's going to be your very, very first impression versus seeing it in the house. If you go through photos and the house is dirty or cluttered, especially cluttered, it's going to go in the bottom of the list. It's going to be the last. If everything else sells out, fine, sure, let me get that house. Let's go see it. And it's just like cringe because you're walking into the space area. Put your stuff in storage, invest a little bit. You're selling your home. You have to treat it like a business. Sell your home so that way you can move into your next. It is what it is. Number four, leaving the home cluttered. Kind of going back again with the first impression, but man, first and second, or not the first, number two and number three, you know, if this really happens, I would sadly say more for older folks who've been in the house for 30, 40 years. You've collected stuff. Your kids have gone and you collected every single homework and artwork and painting and all the toys and you have it stored up and it's hard to let go of all these things. So you walk into the house and there's like 2 feet of like a hallway in the bedroom and you can sit down here and it is a tough thing, and I really see this more for older families only because they collect everything. They hold everything. I mean, we're human. We're like that. I have a 6-year-old and I have his first shoes. I have, his first tie, his all these things don't fit him. They're it's such small, but it's like I don't want to let it go. So I understand. Best thing to do, put in storage and clutter your next new house. Put it all there. Or go through your stuff, hire a company, get rid of the stuff that don't matter and keep the stuff that do. And but put it away so that way you could sell your house, you could move into a new place, start a new chapter. Number five, not fixing simple repairs. Man, I'm telling you, like go through your house, pretend you're a home inspector. In fact, spend 300 bucks, 400 bucks on a home inspector. Say, go through my house, inspect the house, and guess what? Make it as a honey-do list and fix all these little things because now when you do a home inspection, the people go in there, there's not so much stuff on there, and it's really hard to negotiate. If we're going in full offer because that's the only way to get the deal, I'm gonna tell you something. On the inspection, we're gonna like negotiate like crazy. I'm gonna bring up so many things as possible because I'm gonna try to get my buyer a lower deal. And guess what? Every other buyer is going to do that too. Every other realtor is going to press that. But if you fix everything else and we look at the thing is like, man, it's in good shape, good offer. You know what? The buyer ends up feeling like, hey, I got a good house. I got a good deal. They feel more confident and comfortable buying a house, even if they spent an extra $10,000, put up, went up a little bit higher. They're more than willing to do it because they look at the inspection and it's like, hey, man, it's not that bad. It's pretty good. You have you have to. I can't stress enough. Fix these things. A lot of people are like, well, it's as is. I ain't going to do nothing. Fine, let it sit because that's what's going to happen. Don't do that. Don't let your house sit on the market. Fix the minor things, fix the things so you can sell it. You're really gonna just like literally prevent a home to sell that will cost you $1,000, but is really gonna cost you 10, 20, up to $50,000 because then 6 months later, it's another market. The market prices have dropped so much. If you could see on the MLS side, so many people are reducing their prices. Go on Zillow. Don't believe me? Go on Zillow and you'll see houses drop 50,000, drop 20,000, drop 10,000, dropped 100,000. People are dropping their prices because they can't sell. So if you don't fix stuff and do stuff now to get your home nice, ready to sell it, you're stuck. I'm telling you. Number six, limited showings. I've only seen this for, folks who have dogs or who are very worried about people coming into their house. Here's the solution. You have pets, put them in kennels, especially for showings. Put them in kennels. You have to have the mindset, I got to sell my house. Keep the house clean while you do that. If you have valuable stuff, lock it up. Put it in a safe place that no one could go in there. Lock that door. Or put it somewhere that's very safe that no one could get into. Put up cameras. Ring has a lot of cameras. They're not that expensive you could put inside your house to keep aware of stuff. The realtor has to be in the house. The clients has to be in the house with the realtor. So, if you prevent showings like, oh, I have dogs or I have cats, I could only show it, between 5 to 6 because after 6 I want to have supper. You know, you have such a limited time. And I've had buyers, I'm like, hey, look, this is the time that they're available. Would you like to? And they're like, just forget it. Move on. I really like the house, but forget it. Move on. Let's look for something else. And it's happened many times. You have to be open. Or there's some people, I've only had this very few where the seller's like, oh, I need you to be here. You have to be here with the other people to see the house. The realtor is working. It's going to be really hard to do that because then the realtor is going to have to look at a schedule and see what time it works for them. The other people who are walking with them, they are the realtor, and they're going to make sure everything goes, is according to plan. Because we are professionals, we have to do things professional. It could turn back on us. It could be really bad for us. So those are really key points. You would know exactly who comes into your house and at what time. You could put the alarm on. You could, like, hey, let me know when you're there. This is the alarm. You could give them a specific code. There's many things you could do. So back number 7 is refusing to negotiate. Now, this part is kind of like number 5 when it's about fixing the small stuff. Well, if you don't negotiate, because the beginning part is going to be negotiating on the price. Um, in a buyer's market, you have to understand you're going to get a lot of people asking for closing costs. If you don't understand that part, I'm telling you, it's just not going to go there. There's ways to negotiate that. Maybe we could go up in price and cut and do the closing costs and still get it all figured out. We could work those. You could work with lenders. There's many options, but that's not the big negotiating part. The big negotiating part is when it's time to fix things. You have to understand, yes, I understand there's a 4 point. And the four, there is a, as is, you take the house, take it or leave it is up to you, caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. I understand all that stuff. But what you have to understand is do you want to sell your house? And the most important part of the buyer's inspection is not so much just the full inspection, is the 4 point, which is the roof, the AC, the plumbing, and the electric. If there are issues on that, it's not going to sell, regardless if it's a FHA or conventional. It's not going to sell because if they can't get insurance on the home, they can't get a loan for it. You're just going to have to wait for a cash buyer, and a cash buyer is not going to give you full price. I mean, unless they're crazy, they're not paying you full price for a home like that. So fix those things. If you can't fix it ahead, if you just found out about it, you know what? Maybe you could go up in price to come to meet in the middle for the cost of repairs. Find a solution because again, if it's a roof issue, if it's say, you know, plumbing issue and electrical issues, it's going to cost you a lot of money. And a lot of companies could actually fix those things and get paid at closing. And then you could balance out and maybe go up in price or negotiate the closing costs and kind of find a way to meet in the middle. But if you're a person like, nope, nope, take it or leave it, I ain't gonna do it, it's gonna sit there. And then what's gonna happen is 6 months down the road, the home expires, you're gonna go with another realtor, you're gonna lower the price, and then you're gonna actually fix those things, and then it's gonna cost you $20,000, $30,000 less. And I've seen this happen. And this actually happened in in Avon Park. It was a house I had listed, and it was, people moved there. They're from up north. They moved down, and they just bought the house, but it was just, they had a hot summer. They've never experienced Florida heat. They wanted to retire here, and they're like, Luis, this is way too hot, please. And it wasn't even like 6 months. It was like maybe 4 or 5 months. It was just so fast. They just bought the house. They're like, I can't live here. It's just way too hot. It's uncomfortable. I just can't do it. We put their house on the market. They understood there was going to be a loss, but we had an offer for 270, and then we found the house was listed at 290. He had a good offer, cash offer, 270. Take it, nothing. It ain't, they was like, that's way too low. I'm like, hey, look, this is when interest rates went from 2.25 to 8%. Market dropped. They just bought the house, pretty high interest rate. This was the first person willing to buy. There's no one buying at the time. Everyone was put on hold. I'm like, this is a good deal. Go for it. He said, no. The home, we waited a little bit. They said, hey, we're still willing to pay the 270, you know, um, see if they're willing to. They said no. Property expired and she went with another agent. The property sold for $240,000. I mean, it's crazy. She lost instead of losing 20, she lost 50. And she's like, until this day, it's like I can't believe I did that. It is a very very tough situation, but if you don't negotiate, if you don't understand, and negotiating is not just one and two looking at just A and B. You have to look at everything else. What is the future going to look like in a real estate market? Is it going to go up? Like, hey, look, you're really good. Don't worry about this because things are going good. The rates just dropped. We got a lot of people, or it's right in tax season. Things are popping up. We're getting more buyers. If you don't know what the future is, and no, let me put it this way: no one knows the future, but if you don't see what's happening around the world, what's happening, then it's going to make your negotiating power really weak. You're going to be very blind to it. But if you see what's going on, it says, hey, look, there are no more buyers. There's barely any buyers coming up. This is a rare opportunity. There's not a lot of people moving to this area. Homes on average in this area are selling 90 days. That means it's a slow activity. You're going to want to consider any offer that comes by. But if you got to an area where we got like 20 showings, this is the first offer. No, get out of here. We're going to wait for a better deal. So that's going to be when it comes to buying. Number 8, a lot of people still think it's 2021. What I mean by that is during 2021, it was a seller's market. Sellers could sell their house above and beyond for everything. The sellers got their closing costs paid for. I've heard, buyers offering free pizza to the seller for a whole year, on top of like $20,000 extra. I've heard so many crazy things because it was hard for a buyer to get a house. In fact, if you were FHA or VA or USDA or down payment assistant, you were not getting a home. You literally were not getting a home. New constructions, DR Horton, Lennar, all these big companies, they had auctions on Friday. You put in the highest bid and see who gets the house, but you also had to put in a $50,000. It's not going to appraise, it's going to go above. So hopefully you get the right house. It was that crazy. So, you know, we're not in that time now. Now the tables literally have turned. It's the buyer's side. Buyers are getting everything fixed. The buyers are, we have sellers who are begging buyers, will do anything. I'll pay for your kids' college. I'll pay, I'll do whatever it takes. Just please come into my house. Please put in an offer. I've had realtors who like, hey, I'm willing to give you 4%. I'm giving you part of my commission just to get the house sold. Please just come back. What do you guys need fixed? We'll fix it. You don't like the color? We'll paint it for you. We'll paint anything. In fact, it's such a buyer's market. I had one house, they fixed so much stuff, and I was totally shocked. They had to put a new septic, they had to work the electric, they had to fix plumbing, they had to do so much stuff into the house. Like, yeah, we'll fix it. Yep, we'll do it. We just want to close. Can we make it to closing? What can it be in it? It did take a while, and I'm telling you, that was the first time in 12 years I've ever had a buyer get everything. Um, in fact, because that was the only way for them to sell. It was pretty awesome. They literally everything. I'm telling you, everything on the inspection list was fixed. Every little detail on there, from the minor things, everything was fixed, which was impressive. Um, but that's the type of market we're in. Number 9 is weak marketing. This isn't this isn't the 90s or early 2000s where you just put a sign in the front yard and put a piece of paper in front of a window and the home sells. No, we're in an age of technology. We have you can't just depend on on the market. You have to do social media. You have to drive people to you. And the more people you could get on your house, the more eyes is like the best way I put it is you have a think about you having a coffee shop. If no, you could have the best coffee shop in the world, but if no one sees it, it's not going to go anywhere. But if you have 10,000 people a day looking at it, 100,000 people a week, whatnot, seeing your home, you're going to get there's some or your coffee shop, you're going to get a lot of foot traffic. Like, yo, there's a you're in a busy section. This let's go inside. Same with your house if you're being shown by a lot of people, if a lot of people are seeing this house, you're going to grab more attention, and that's really important to have someone who knows how to manage AI. If in the past we would say agents, if you're not on social media, you're going to be left behind. Now, if agents don't know AI, they're left behind. There's so much that a buyer, a realtor can do to get their home exposure by a lot of people. We're talking about just not just putting it on Facebook, but we're talking about video tours, target marketing, knowing, getting, looking at the heat map, seeing where people are relocating from, seeing where people from around the world, around the country are looking at your house, getting more eyes on that and revisiting them. Like they may have seen it once and to find a way to get their attention back at it again. Those things take skill. So if you have weak marketing, that could be a huge thing. Also, choosing choosing the wrong agent. I hate talking about this stuff, and that's why I have it last because maybe some people may not watch the full video, but I don't like talking bad about other agents, because this is our field. We're all struggling together. We're all fighting together. But I highly recommend call your call your agent. Have someone, in fact, have your friend, your mom, your brother, your whatever, have them prospect to your house. Have them pick, like, hey, I'm interested in 123, House Street. Could you tell me about this problem? Yeah, I'm interested. See how that person responds. Once, see if that agent picks up the phone. It's really bad when agents don't pick up the phone. See if they call back. Leave a voice message or text and see if they respond back. If they don't, man, that's a really tough thing. You know, see when they do, see if they try to get that person, try to sell it, try to give information, see if they talk good about that property, see if they talk bad. I've had some sellers, some realtors tell me more information that they should have told me. And I've had some realtors dog the house by, look, they need to get out of here. They're willing to take anything. Just put an offer. I mean, we'll work it out. Trust me. We've had many of those. So make sure you test your agents. Ask them a lot of questions. Your agent shouldn't be upset with the questions you ask them, but I highly recommend having a friend or family member call them. Call them to do that. And then once you find out they're a good agent, if you know that, trust your agent. You know, trust that your agent, this is their professional, that they know what they're doing. Trust them. And I'm hoping that I could be your agent. So if you have a home you're looking to sell, looking to buy, I'd love to represent you and I'd love to show you what we could do. And if you can, make sure you call me at 407-790-6232. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this could be helpful, and I'll talk to you later.